I'll never forget the sight of 3 police cruisers rolling up to my ranch gate that October morning, lights flashing like some kind of twisted welcome parade, deputies stepping out with their hands hovering near their holsters. Yeah, that's how it all started. And if you'd told me a year earlier I'd be standing on my own land, holding my deed in one hand and a mug of coffee in the other, facing down a full-blown police response over a neighborly feud gone nuclear, I'd have laughed in your face, except there I was, heart-thumping, thinking, you gotta be kidding me. This is my life now. Name's Marcus Whitfield, and Whitfield Ranch. It's been in my family for 3 generations. 40 acres of rough Texas country, fields and oaks, and more memories than I can count, bought by my granddad back in '52 when land was cheap and neighbors were just, well, neighborly. The old ranch sits at the ragged edge of what's now called Sunset Valley. This shiny luxury development that just sort of sprouted up 8 years back came out of nowhere, like mushrooms after rain. Developers tried to wave their checkbooks at me, offered ridiculous money, but my answer was always the same: you can't buy history, not with any price. Everything started to slide sideways about 3 months ago when Margaret Chin got herself crowned as the new HOA president. Margaret, well, she liked to call herself President Chin, made sure everyone else did too, strutted around at 5'2" in her pressed pantsuits, clipboard in hand, like it was a royal scepter. Even on Saturdays, like HOA business couldn't wait. She had opinions on everything, you know, right down to what shade of beige your garage door should be, or how your American flag ought to hang. God forbid it droop at the wrong angle. Our first run-in happened on a Tuesday. I'd parked my pickup at the trailhead, same spot my family's always used to get from the main road out to the barn. I've got legal easement documented and filed with the county, but Margaret didn't care about pesky little things like property rights or paperwork. She stomped up to my truck that morning, heels clicking on the gravel like an angry metronome, and I could see her sizing me up like a foreman looking for a lazy worker. Excuse me, she goes in that tone that makes it clear she's anything but excusing you, but you can't park here, this is community space. I wiped the sweat off my forehead, did my best friendly voice. Morning, ma'am. I'm Marcus Whitfield, own the ranch just through those trees. This is my access road. She pushed her glasses up her nose, narrowed her eyes. I don't care who you are. This area falls under HOA jurisdiction, and we have strict rules about commercial vehicles. It's a personal truck, I said, keeping my voice steady, and more importantly, this is my property. The HOA line ends back at those stone markers. I pointed them out clear as day. She clutched that clipboard like it was a security blanket, scribbled something down, and snapped, I'll be checking into this. In the meantime, I'm issuing you a warning. Next thing I know, there's a bright orange sticker slapped on my windshield with the kind of efficiency that says, oh yeah, she's done this before. Over the next few weeks, things escalated, went from 0 to 60 in no time. Every time I parked out there, there'd be a new sticker, and they changed color like traffic lights, orange, then yellow, then red, each one threatening bigger fines. First $50, then $100, then $500. I started saving them in a folder I labeled Evidence of Harassment, on the advice of my buddy Daniel, who's a lawyer and has seen his share of HOA drama. Margaret didn't just stop at stickers. Sometimes she'd actually camp out by my driveway waiting to catch me breaking some made-up rule. One afternoon I roll up and there she is, standing in the middle of my private drive, arms crossed like she's guarding the royal treasury. You need to stop this intimidation campaign, she announces as I roll my window down. I just looked at her, couldn't help myself. Margaret, you're literally standing on my land right now. The only one doing any intimidating here is you. Her face went purple, seriously, thought she might pop. This land should belong to the community. You're nothing but a squatter holding on to the past. Progress is coming whether you like it or not. Progress, I said, and yeah, I might have chuckled. Is that what you call harassing your neighbors? Please move aside. I've got work to do. She didn't budge. I've done my research, Mr. Whitfield. There are provisions in county code for eminent domain if property use conflicts with community standards. I kept my face neutral, but inside that got my heart racing. Good luck with that, Margaret. Now please move or I'm calling the sheriff about trespassing. She stepped aside but shouted as I drove off. This isn't over. The HOA has resources you can't even imagine. Yeah, I heard her every word. Then that October morning, things came to a head. I'd parked at my usual spot about to haul feed to the barn, minding my own business, when I heard sirens in the distance. At first I thought maybe they're chasing someone else, but when those cruisers turned onto my road, my stomach just about dropped through the floor. The lead deputy walks up, hand on his holster, and says, "Sir, we got a call about an armed trespasser. I need you to keep your hands where I can see them." You can imagine my face there. I am mug in hand, feeling like I'd wandered onto a movie set. "Officer, I'm the property owner," I said nice and calm, raising my hands. "My name's Marcus Whitfield. I have documentation in my truck if you'll let me get it." He nodded, and I pulled out my folder, deed, easement, driver's license, even aerial photos of the property lines. While he's looking everything over, who should roll up but Margaret herself in her silver Lexus, wearing that self-satisfied grin that could sour milk. "That's him, officers," she hollers. "That's the trespasser. He's been squatting on HOA land for months." The deputy name tag says Rodriguez, looks at my papers, then at Margaret, then back at me. "Ma'am, according to these documents, Mr. Whitfield's the legal owner. County records confirm it." Margaret's smile falters. "That's impossible." "Check again. He must have forged those." Rodriguez's face hardens, and he goes, "Ma'am, making a false 911 call is a crime." She puffs herself up. "I'm the HOA president. I have authority over this entire area." "No, ma'am, you don't." HOA ends at those markers, and he points to the same ones I'd shown her weeks ago. "You've just called in a false emergency." What happened next was like watching a slow-motion train wreck. Deputy Rodriguez takes Margaret aside and starts grilling her. Did she know this was private property? Yeah, but she believed the HOA had override authority. Had I threatened her? Well, no, but my presence was intimidating. Had she checked the property lines? Didn't need to. She just knew best. By the time the deputies left, Margaret had a citation for misuse of emergency services. First time I'd seen her actually look rattled. But for me, that was just the beginning. That afternoon, I got Daniel on the phone, and by evening, we'd filed complaints with the Sheriff County Board and the state HOA regulator. We had records, sticker after sticker, the trespassing, the false 911 call. The crazy thing. Turns out Margaret was running her own little terror campaign all over Sunset Valley. Robert Holloway, 2 streets over, got fined $300 for having his grass a quarter-inch too tall. Sarah Martinez violation notices because her kids' bikes were visible from the street. Even old Mr. Kim got harassed over his garden hose not matching the approved pallet. Once word got out that Margaret had been cited, it spread like wildfire. At the next HOA meeting, you couldn't even get a seat. Folks were mad, demanding answers. Margaret tried to bang her gavel and shout them down, but nobody was listening anymore. A month later, the county scheduled a public hearing, big room at the Civic Center packed to the walls. I showed up with Daniel and my boxes of evidence. Margaret arrived with her lawyer, a sweaty, nervous-looking guy who clearly wished he was anywhere else. Judge Winters, the hearing officer, laid everything out, the false call, the harassment, the trespassing. Then came the twist. Nobody saw coming. The county had dug up Margaret's history. Found out she'd pulled the same stunts at her last HOA in Cedar Heights. Got herself booted off the board after multiple complaints. Judge Winters' voice cut through the room. "Mrs. Chen, this board finds that you've overstepped your authority, harassed property owners, misused emergency services, and created a hostile environment." Margaret tried to protest. "This is a conspiracy. You people don't care about standards." Judge Winters shut her down cold. The verdict: she's permanently banned from my property, removed as HOA president, barred from serving on any HOA in the county for 10 years, and owes me $5,000 in restitution plus legal fees. Oh, and she's facing criminal charges up to 6 months in jail, 10 grand in fines. You could hear the room exhale as Margaret slumped in her chair, just another person in a suit, suddenly powerless. Funny thing, after all that drama, the ranch feels a little quieter these days, like the land itself is breathing easier. Sometimes I see neighbors wave a little longer as they drive by, or I'll find a thank you note in my mailbox from folks I barely know. Margaret, last I heard, she put her house up for sale, moved on maybe to find another community to fix. Who knows? As for Sunset Valley, well, let's just say the next HOA president keeps their head down and their nose out of everyone else's business. But hey, you tell me, was I in the right standing up to the HOA, or was Margaret just doing her job a little too well? Where's the line between community standards and neighborly harassment? I'm curious what you think, so drop a comment below. Let's hear where you stand. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that in places like Sunset Valley, the real drama is never just about the property lines.